Question number 2, the right...
Speaking about the regions. Mr Speaker, could I raise a point of order? It's by way of seeking your advice for the future, because we put a question in...
Order. This is a point of order.
Yes.
I wish to hear it in silence.
Speaker, I'm seeking your counsel advice in this matter because we put a question in asking whether the Prime Minister stood by his statements, and then after 11 a.m., which is quite unique in our experience, it was switched to the Minister for Energy. My question is, how would you phrase the question to avoid the outcome that we've just experienced, whereby in seeking the Prime Minister standing by his own statements, we've now got the Minister for Energy saying whether he stands by the Prime Minister's statements, which is not remotely what we're asking.
Order. It's not my job to phrase the questions. My job is to judge whether they meet standing orders. On this occasion, if the member looks at Speaker's rulings 168, a number of rulings there will confirm to him that the government has the right to determine where the question goes. So they transfer the question. Subsequent to a transfer, there's often a change of wording required to make it sensible. This question has now been accepted, and it will be asked today if the member wants to. Otherwise, I'm quite happy to move to the next question.
No, sir, but my point, yes.
No,
that's not it. Sir, my point, I'm aware of the point of order. I'm aware of the ruling. What I'm asking you is, if one is seeking to get a minister to stand by his statements, or the Prime Minister stand by his, how would one phrase the question other than the way I phrased it, which was, does he stand by all his statements regarding the electricity market? If so, why? If I was to avoid the outcome, how would you suggest I drafted it to be within the standing order you say stands in this case?
As I said earlier, it's not my job to design the questions, but the man himself frequently comes in and asks the Prime Minister whether he stands by all his statements. That would have got the member past step 1 on that occasion. He could have done that. This question's been accepted. It will be asked if the member wants to ask it. If he doesn't, I'm very comfortable with moving immediately to question number 3.
There's no suggestion I don't want to ask the question, Mr Speaker.
Well,
I'm seeking your advice.
Then ask it, otherwise the member would want...
Oh, I see. So...
Order!
Seeking counsel is not a good idea?
Member will resume his seat. I'll give the member one final warning. If he wants to ask the question, he rises to his feet and asks it. If he doesn't, he won't be in the House to ask it in the first place.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
I've dealt with this matter. If it's a fresh point of order, I'm happy to hear it.
It is indeed a fresh point of order.
Mr
Speaker, in ruling on this issue of transfer previously, speakers have indicated that one of the tests that they would apply in applying the Speaker's rulings is could somebody be expected to know what was in the head of somebody else when they made a statement? One of the issues here is if we ask a very broad question of the Prime Minister, does he stand by all of his statements, you would be quite at liberty to rule that a then very specific supplementary question the Prime Minister couldn't be expected to know about because he wouldn't have been given notice. So one of the things that the opposition will try on occasion to do is give an indication of the broad nature of the topics to be debated. If that then means that the Prime Minister can automatically transfer the question to somebody else, it does create a situation where we can't question the Prime Minister on anything specific.
Well, if the member wants to take the time, I'll welcome to
it's one of those days, Mr Speaker. It's one of those days, Mr Speaker. The standing order Speaker's ruling you quoted, 1682, does go on to make it clear that, notwithstanding the claims made by Mr Hipkins, that matters that go to does someone stand by certain statements do not meet the test as to whether or not the person initially being asked the question could possibly be the only person to give the answer. Now, when the question was seen this morning, it was reasonable to expect that it was going to be of a relatively technical nature because we know that's the general thrust of inquiry from the Right Honourable Winston Peters. We therefore felt it most appropriate, sir, that the technical information could be provided by a minister who had that responsibility.
Point of order.
Now, is this a fresh point of order that I ask Chris Hipkins to raise?
Well, it probably transpires from the comments made by the Leader of the House, Mr Speaker, and the whole discussion to this point raises another question, which I'd respectfully ask you if you could take some time to consider and come back and give us your views on the wider issue. It would appear to New Zealand First that if we simply ask the question, does he stand by his statements, putting it to a minister or the Prime Minister, the question would remain with that person. When we try to give some assistance by referring to what the subject of the Prime Minister's comment was, then they have exercised their right under the standing order to shift it. That could well become a tactic, Mr. Speaker, to avoid having the Prime Minister answer any question that he doesn't understand the details of.
I've heard quite enough on this matter. As I said earlier, it is well accepted through Speaker's ruling for a long period of time, the government has the right to decide who has the responsibility and is best entitled to answer that question. On that basis, the government transferred the question. There will subsequently be an adjustment to words. What's in the Prime Minister's head is not the essence of this question. The question is, time is about holding the government to account for its policies. On this occasion, the government has decided to transfer it. That is the end of the matter. A question can be asked, and indeed will be asked by the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, this question is now to the Minister of Energy and Resources and asks, does he stand by all the Prime Minister's statements regarding the electricity market? If so, why?
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Mr. Speaker, yes, because the Prime Minister has very good expertise on these matters.
Why didn't he answer the question?
Order. Order.
Well,
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
will the Minister state with precision and clarity that he is familiar with every statement that the Prime Minister has made recently about electricity pricing?
Right.
Yes or no?
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not always privileged to be in the same room with the Prime Minister, so I haven't heard all the comments.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
So is he saying he's prepared to stand in for the Prime Minister as to what the Prime Minister said, even though he's not familiar with what he said on the question of electricity pricing in each and every case? Yes or no?
The Honourable Simon
Well,
Bridges.
Mr. Speaker, unlike New Zealand First Nationals, a values-based party, and I and the Prime Minister share the same values.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
A supplementary question. In what way will increasing the annual per customer charge for West Power from $179 to $676, Top Energy from $155 to $421, and North Power from $300 to $560 benefit the economic direction of the regions?
The Honourable Simon
Well,
Bridges.
the member's jumping to conclusions. It's far too early in the process to assume that changes to transmission pricing methodology will significantly alter electricity prices in some regions. That's, for example, because, as I say, for example, one of the options is to be prospective in effect only, and in that case, there'd be very minimal impact on the cost of electricity across the regions. I think just to go one step further, this is about, for the Electricity Authority, living up to their mandate of ensuring an efficient investment decisions, and that's why they've issued this options paper.
Looking after your corporate...
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Given customers of Auckland's Vector will see their annual customer charge increase on average from $327 to $519, how on earth will that help our poorest, our elderly or hard-working parents trying to make ends meet?
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Well, the member's quite wrong because he says that will happen. As I've said, this is an options paper where it's not at all clear that that will be the result. I've been very clear with the Electricity Authority that they need to consult well and listen. And we know, as I said in one of my earlier answers, that there are many options which wouldn't have anything like the effects that the member is talking of.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Does he believe that building corporate welfare, particularly for large industrial foreign-owned energy consumers like Rio Tinto and BlueScope, who are getting 56% reductions or more, among others, is a hallmark of this government? And why does he think that the people from Westport to Kaitaia should be subsidising this?
The Honourable Simon
Mr.
Bridges.
Speaker, repeat, the member's jumping to conclusions. This is not in any way, shape or form about benefiting any particular businesses. What it is about is fairly and efficiently ensuring that power investment in infrastructure is spread appropriately and, as I say, efficiently across the regions. That said, let's be very clear, it's an options paper. it will be taken carefully and judiciously, and the member is very much welcome to make a submission.
Question number 3, Sarah Dow.